I am very excited to be here in Tokyo. This is my third time, I think, visiting Tokyo. And I'm very excited to come as part of the API Academy to talk about this API economy, applications, microservices, DevOps, and so many other things. So this is me. This is me online on Twitter and LinkedIn and GitHub. And I would very much like to connect with you and learn from you what you are working on and what kind of projects you have. So please contact me there. So I work in this group called API Academy, sponsored by CA, but we are not involved in creating products. We spend time in research and consulting and go to conferences and webinars and collect lots of best practice that we can share with you and with all of our customers. So we say we help people build great APIs and APIs for the web. So what I have today is material that comes from many customers we visited, training sessions that we do. So I thought I would bring to you some of the highlights of the kinds of things that we work on in our experience. I'm also very proud to say, and you are the very first people to know this, our team has been working on a book on microservice for O'Reilly Publications, which we will release in May. And it's about the microservice architecture. So all of our team members, myself, and Matt McClarty, and Ronnie Mitra, and Irakli have all gotten together, and we've collected up our material. So we're very excited to release that. I know that CA, Otomo-san, and many of the people here will have copies that they can help you find early this year. Okay. So there are 4 things I wanted to talk about today: business, microservice, culture, and innovation. So we'll talk first about the business of APIs, and then we'll move through the other ones, both API and app economy. What has changed over the last several years? So we'll talk about microservice. How many have this idea of DevOps? DevOps idea, yes? And how many have heard of microservice before? Okay. Microservice is the next step beyond DevOps. Companies who are beginning to build their DevOps platform so that developers and operations, that IT works together, they're prepared for the next step, which is changing the way you actually design and code and release the parts of your system. In order to be building microservices, I already must be doing DevOps. So those of us who have not yet begun this DevOps work have a lot ahead of us. Then I wanted to talk about company culture and teams for success, for being successful. More and more our customers are telling us the technology is fine, but I need to also learn about people. So we'll talk about how company culture affects the quality of your software. Many studies now show the way you organize your team actually affects the errors in your code. It's not the number of lines, it's not how many people are in charge, it's actually the way you organize both the size and the relationships in the team. So we'll talk about that. And finally, this idea of innovation. Innovation means change from within. It means while I'm working inside the company, we make small improvements over and over. This can be very challenging for companies because innovation often looks like chaos. So we'll talk about how to enable change. Companies that we talk to, digital native companies like Netflix and Amazon and Facebook, have this notion of fostering digital innovation as part of their organization. Things are moving faster and faster, so making these changes is important. So I will also say then I will be talking a long time, so you might want to get up and leave, maybe have a cigarette or take a phone call. It's fine. Don't worry. It's okay. We will send you all the slides, so you don't have to write down what's on the slides. But if you want to take notes about interesting things that I said, you know, there's a slide number you can use. And then hopefully you will enjoy today. I know this is a big amount of time that you have come to see me, and I want to make it as valuable as I can. Okay, so as I said, I'm going to be moving between different slides because we're picking up different topics. So let me go ahead and this. And okay. Very good. Okay. Okay, so the lights are getting brighter, right? I am not, my eyes are not bad. Okay, we're good? Okay, all right. Business of APIs. So APIs are this powerful force for connecting to partners and connecting to customers, much as we have this idea of distribution network in physical world, like trucks and ships and trains. APIs are the distribution network of the digital economy, the digital age, of the app economy. So what does that really mean? What does that look like? What do we mean by API? We travel lots of places and we hear lots of things. API is a channel for communicating between two parties, maybe between two customers or between a customer and my phone. An API can be an actual product. Digital native companies like Twitter or Salesforce, their API is what they sell. It must be designed as a product. It must be tested, packaged, promoted, just like you build any product, whether it's a car or clothing or food. Then finally, for some of our customers, API means a platform for creating new business or creating new applications. For Amazon, API is a platform. They spent many years creating this API system so they could build products on top of it. And they build them all the time. Amazon has made building new products low cost, low risk. So often we say web API, but we really mean, we say API, but we mean web API, API on the web. So some say anything that's on the World Wide Web is API. Some say it must use one protocol, HTTP. I don't think I agree, but many say yes, one protocol. Do we know this word, REST? How many have heard this word? Yes? Okay, so we have this idea of it must be REST to be web API. Nah. Some say no soap. No, but it's okay. For us, these are all different ways to create interfaces. And there are many more that are not listed, like WebSockets, or MQTT, or FTP. Many, many ways to create interface. So let's spend some time on a definition and why, what a purpose is, and what the real value of this API is about. So the full name, Application Programming Interface. So application, that's a solution, that's solving my problem. I'm your customer, you have a solution for me. Programming is this solution allows me to actually make my own program. So APIs are not just a solution, but a way for me to build something myself. This is allowing my customers to create a solution using my application. And finally, the most important word is interface, the way we connect. The interface is most important, more important than protocol, more important than format, more important than anything else is this interface. Because we know how important interface is. We know about applications that make us angry, about applications that make me feel dumb. Oh, I deleted it by mistake. My mistake, my mistake. No, bad interface, bad design. It's hard for me to make a mistake with this, right? Left, right, on, off, done, easy. But my phone might have many, many, many mistakes I can make, right? Look at all those mistakes I can make on my phone. So designing is really important for users. The same is true for API. If you design an API where it's easy for me to make a mistake, I cost your company money. If my API causes lots of support calls, or my documentation is poor, I cost lots of money. Errors cost money. So for an application interface is easy. On the web, I ask a question, get me the weather, and I get an answer back in some text. So this is the simplest API. Ask a question, get an answer back. So APIs are nothing new, right? We have used APIs ever since the first computer. So C++ has APIs, SQL Server has APIs, Salesforce has APIs. They're all interfaces to something else, to get something done. So let's just say that these interfaces that live on the web will be our web API today. The real question is why? Why should I have this? Why should I have an API for my business? If you want to allow your business to communicate with someone else, you need an API. If you want teams inside your company, HR, finance, product management, sales, to communicate with each other, you need APIs. If you want someone sitting at home after university, she's going to build the next great iOS application, you need APIs. Distribution, communication. Most important, APIs allow us to create something new. APIs allow us to build a new application. At Amazon, they have many APIs, and they get an idea that says, oh, maybe we should have a new application, a new service that we can sell. They use existing APIs to create this new service. That new service can result in new revenue. So I have a new opportunity to gain revenue. Sometimes revenue is what we say indirect. Twitter and Facebook do not charge people to use their API. But when I use their API, I bring more traffic, more users, more data to Facebook. And that's what Facebook can sell to advertisers. So often revenue is indirect rather than direct. Salesforce, direct revenue. They charge me for each API. APIs can allow us to create entirely new business. Amazon starts by selling books. And then they create this platform. So now they sell database, and they sell virtual machines, and they sell queuing service, and they sell programming language. all brand new businesses from the same platform. So creating value is very important. Good APIs make interaction easy. Interact with my team, interact with someone else in the company, with a partner, or simply with a customer. So we say APIs unlock value inside your company. All of us have value in our company today. Maybe we need to find a way to make it easier to unlock that value and share it and gain revenue from it. So this is a quote from Mark Andreessen. Do we know this name, Mark Andreessen? Mark Andreessen creates Netscape browser. It's one of the first browsers, and now he is a big venture capital, we say in US, right? We have these venture capitalists, rich people deciding the new startups. So he has this quote. There's no reason why most internet traffic within 5 years will be computers talking to computers. APIs. This is published in an important journal in the US, Network World, The Browserless Web, Machine to Machine. But there's a problem with this quote. He says within 5 years, he said it 15 years ago. So it took a long, long time. Only recently are we beginning to see this API economy exist. Why now? Why not 15 years ago? So there are a few reasons. The mobile device has changed many things about the way computers work. The mobile device is not only just small and portable, but it's very different than our desktop. So I can't just simply run desktop applications on this device. Even this one, which is my big 6-inch device, right, rather than a small phone. So mobile has made us think differently about how we communicate to machines. Mobile has also increased the demand for being connected all the time. So I want to be connected here in Tokyo, even though my home is far away. I want to be connected on my mobile device, on my laptop, on my watch. I want connected everywhere, right? And then finally, there's an increased competition between companies to reach the customer, to reach the partner. And that increased competition is also moving faster than before. So we need to reduce the cost of creating these new communication channels. And that's what APIs help us do. Increase our reach while reducing our cost. So lots of APIs. This is programmable web in US, a list of public APIs. You can see it starts very small, but within 10 years grows. This lists 10,000, but this is a very old slide. This slide is from 2013. We probably have twice as many public APIs today. Many, many APIs. Each API is an island. Each API is its own language. I have a very hard time learning Japanese. That's one language. I have 10,000 I must understand if I want to use these. But the public APIs are just the tip of the iceberg. Most of our APIs are private. Most of the APIs are inside the company, between departments, between offices on different cities or different continents. That's where most of the APIs are. Most of the distribution is private. So I want to talk about 3 kinds of API distribution: private, public, and partner. Private APIs are what we use inside our company. Public APIs are what we use with people we've never met before, like on the internet. And partner APIs are where we get a partnership, and create this communication channel. Okay, so private APIs. Private APIs you build to support your business, about your business model, your intellectual property, your opportunities for the future. You build them for your employees, for your developers. They understand your business. They're on the same team. They have the same goals you do. This affects the way you design the API. This API will have many acronyms or names that are only important to your company. What you call a customer or an opportunity or a product or a vendor is unique for your company. And it makes sense to optimize this API to talk like your company thinks. Now, even though it's a private API, it will appear often on the World Wide Web because I need to connect to various offices and so on and so forth. So it needs to be secured because I don't want everyone to see my intellectual property. But it's developed as a private API, and I have full control. This is the advantage of this API. I decide what languages are used to write the application. I decide when the application is released. I decide when it's tested. I decide how I coordinate with other offices. I can even tell my offices to all shut down on Friday because I'm going to install new software on Saturday, and when you come in on Monday, it will all work great. I can get everyone to pay attention to me and do what I say when I want to. Most of the time, private APIs are built to reduce the cost of integration, to lower the cost of operating our business. Most private APIs are not designed to generate revenue. They're designed to create efficiencies inside. Our typical private API has lots of mobile or desktop devices talking to our business objects, our data storage, and our company services. And these APIs expose these objects for us to work with. That's different than public APIs. Public APIs are not built to support your product, but to support someone else's. And in fact, someone you may not have ever met before. Someone may want to use your data or customer base or content to create a brand new product. And usually, the people using this API are people you do not know. You don't know what language they're using. You don't control when they release the application. You don't control when they update it. And you cannot get them to all turn off their applications on Friday to install the new version over the weekend. You don't control these people at all. In fact, sometimes you don't even control what they can do with the information. You may have an API which lists all of your stores around the city. And someone uses your API to show all of your stores on a map next to a list of all of the robberies in the city to show how close your store is to a robber. We don't like this, but we sometimes cannot stop it. There is risk in an open API because people will use it in ways you didn't decide. Open APIs are almost always deployed on the World Wide Web. Some IoT devices have open APIs that are not on the web. They're on the internet, but it's usually the web. So you have this risk with open APIs. Another important thing to think about is the fact that you only control the platform, the API release. You control who can access, who can log in, how much data they can receive at different times of the day, who can make requests to you. But once that data leaves your facility, you lose a great deal of control. If your most important product is the data itself, open APIs can be a problem for you. If your most important product is users or traffic, open APIs are your friend. They will be valuable. We'll mention one other thing about open APIs, public APIs. When a competitor for my company announces an API, I sign up right away, because I'm hoping they expose their intellectual property, their business model, their data model, their service model to me for free. Now I understand your business. If they have made the mistake of designing that API for the public the way they design it for private, I get all sorts of free research information. Most of the time, the primary goal of a public API is growth and adoption. More users, more customers, more traffic. Most APIs are designed to collect information, especially open APIs, especially free APIs. Think about Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn and all these other services. What they want to do is they want you to give them information that they will sell to an advertiser. We have this phrase in US. If you are not paying for the service, if you are not paying for the product, you are the product. Right? All of my information, every time I use Facebook and I'm on the phone and I do something, they know exactly where I am. Right? I'm giving them that information. Right? Okay. So, what does public API look like? Here are all these people I don't know, and all they can see is my interface. No business objects, no database, no service model, just APIs, just interface. So I hide my intellectual property. I can make changes as I want, but the API is always available. Many of our customers who use open APIs do it to create new opportunity. Netflix created an open API for movie recommendation. If you like this movie, you will like these movies. They created a contest. $1 million to the team that improves the recommendation by a certain number of percents. They have a model. 1 year it took for some team to win. So after a year, they have a new model. They pay the $1 million and close the API, because the API solved the problem they needed. They wanted to collect new talent and research from someone else for free. They pay the $1 million. It was quite cheap. It would have cost them a great deal more to do their own research. In fact, they hired the team that created this new recommendation service as well. So APIs on open APIs solve a particular problem. Partner APIs. So for partner APIs, it's like a mix of private and public. You know what product you're supporting. You have an agreement with a partner to provide an API to maybe sell phone minutes in your stores. So we want to solve a particular problem. They want to sell phone minutes, and you want to do it inside your store. You know who's building this. Sometimes you even know what languages they program in. You know what their partner wants to do. I can't always tell my partner when to release software. My partner will decide on their own when to release. But at least I know what they're working on, and I can learn from them. And of course, this is usually also on the web, so it needs to be secured properly as well. So with partner APIs, I control the platform as in public API, but I also control the relationship, the way we work together. I know what your pain points are. I know when your release schedule is. I know lots of things. Now, In partner APIs, it's usually a mix of increasing growth. Maybe a partner allows me in a new market where I couldn't go before, or also reducing cost. Maybe I have many partners that are all the same, so I want to be able to release a product to hundreds of them at a low cost. Or maybe I build a specific API for a very important partner that represents 20% of my revenue, and I will do whatever that partner wishes. APIs allow us to reduce the cost of creating new interfaces because I don't have to ship a product. So I create a platform that allows me to create lots of small changes. Partner APIs look like a mix. My own employees can use the same API that the partner does. Notice the API does not have the business model, or the service model, or the data model. Your partner doesn't care about your business. She cares about her business. I have a customer that sells content management, right? We know this, content management. One data model, one business model, very simple. They have an API for travel industry, which is a different API for education industry, and a different API for scientific information. Different APIs, same internal model. Why do they have more APIs? Packaging, targeting. I live in Cincinnati, near Cincinnati in the US. Cincinnati knows how to sell soap through Procter & Gamble, right? Red soap, blue soap, green soap, liquid soap, powdered soap. It's all soap. But they know how to package it differently. APIs allow us to create a package that looks just like your product, just like what you need. And I can have many of them at a low cost. Okay. So we have this idea of private APIs for your product, public APIs for someone else's product that you don't know, and partner APIs for products that are not yours but you know well. The important lesson here is that there is not one API for your company. The team that creates the private API may not be the team that creates the public one. The partner teams use different rules than the private teams. A big challenge for many of our customers is they want just one button, one API. And it's usually a bad idea. It's like saying there is only one size suit for everyone. And it's not good. No one likes that suit. We're doing some recent research. I'm going to annoy the interpreter because this is not on the slide. The End of Average is a new book. And this book talks about how we spent so many years understanding the average person and what she likes and what she doesn't like. It turns out there is no average. An average is always an imaginary person. In the age of information, we don't need to work with average. We can work directly with you. We can customize at a low cost. Same for APIs. We don't need one API, which is the average. We need each API to work for you. Okay. So I have just maybe 10 more minutes. Okay, is that okay? All right. Okay. I should not have paused so long. I confused Tom-san. Sorry. Okay. So let's take a real example. building this app or this app economy. So here we have our mobile app. It says, is 22 and sunny in London? I don't think so. It's never 22 and sunny in London. It's always rainy and 10. Okay. But this has the layout, the graphics, and the text. It has the actual temperature information from some weather service, and it waits for user input, right? So this is what an application deals with all the time. And typically, we build all of these details on the back end. We build the page, and we send it to the device, and we wait for user input. Right? But the problem is mobile devices are different. My Android and your iOS and BlackBerry and Windows Phone all are different. So we can actually take the data, the temperature data, and make this an API to send to a device which decides their own layout and graphics and text and waits for user input. So now my API lets you create a solution. This is how APIs let us build applications. And even better, we can now have the same API for many solutions. Many different devices on my desktop, on the refrigerator, or my little toaster, or the screen at the door that's next to the umbrella. Right? So now we use the same API to help us create lots of new solutions at a reduced cost. We have billions and billions of devices in our future. My watch, my shoes, my clothing, my umbrella, my car, all of these are connected devices. All of them have their own interface, their own interaction, their own layout. At the same time, we have lots and lots of applications. The number of application downloads keeps growing. I download applications to my phone every day. I don't understand why. They change something, so I do. This increased demand is all driven by APIs. APIs are driving the devices and the apps. So, APIs are interfaces for machines. We design them just as carefully as we would any other interface. The real value of them is creating something new. A big challenge for those of us in the IT industry is building a place where new ideas can be created, even if we don't know what they are yet. How do I build a platform for applications that no one has invented yet? This is what we'll talk about in the next unit, in this microservice unit. Good APIs want to make interaction between parties easy, cost-effective, and safe. The more interactions I can have, the better improvement I can make, the better I can serve my customer, whether it's a partner or a business customer. So that is my first unit. Okay? Any questions at all? Questions before we take?